I still remember the sound those metal bolts made when they exploded across the trailer floor. Thousands of them. My warehouse supervisor stood there frozen, his smug grin disappearing inch by inch while the general manager stared at the mess in complete disbelief. And after years of bullying drivers, ruining people's lives, and getting away with it, for the first time ever, he was the one staying late. If you've ever had a boss or manager who treated people like garbage just because they could, hit that like button, subscribe, and settle in. Because this revenge story may be petty, but trust me, it was earned. This happened over 25 years ago, back when I was working as a long-haul truck driver. And before anyone says it, yeah, I'm old. But some moments stay burned into your memory forever. Not because they were huge life-changing events, but because of how good they felt in the moment. At the company I work for, there was one man everybody hated, the warehouse supervisor. Now, every workplace has that one difficult manager, the guy who acts important because he has a clipboard and a tiny bit of authority. But this guy, he treated making people miserable like it was a hobby. Warehouse workers quit constantly because of him. New hires would last maybe 2 weeks before disappearing. Some walked out during shifts. Some just never came back from lunch. And honestly, I didn't blame them. He'd invent pointless rules just to watch people struggle. 1 week, pallets had to be stacked one way. The next week, wrong. Do it differently. He'd scream at people for things nobody had told them. Hide paperwork. Forget to relay instructions. Then stand there acting innocent while people got blamed. And the worst part? Management knew. Everyone complained about him. Nothing changed. Now, at the time, qualified truck drivers were hard to find. Drivers with ADR permits, meaning we could transport hazardous goods, were even rarer. Companies needed us badly, which meant most drivers expected at least a little respect. Not this place. The supervisor especially loved messing with drivers because we couldn't defend ourselves easily. We were always on schedules, tight deadlines, legal driving hours, family plans waiting at home. And he knew exactly how to weaponize that. His favorite trick was forgetting to mention urgent pickups until the absolute last second. You'd finish a 10-hour shift thinking you were finally done. Then suddenly, oh yeah, there's one more collection. Every driver hated hearing those words, because it wasn't an accident. It was entertainment for him. And one evening, he finally pushed too far. I remember that day perfectly. It had already been long. Rainy weather, traffic everywhere, deliveries running behind. I'd even called my wife about 20 minutes before returning to the depot. I'm on my way, I told her. She'd made dinner. That mattered to me. People who haven't worked those kinds of jobs don't understand how much small things matter after exhausting shifts. A hot meal, your own chair, quiet, home. I was maybe 30 minutes from the yard when the traffic controller radioed me. You need to pick something up before returning. I closed my eyes for a second. Of course, 4 small bins of bolts from a manufacturer nearby, needed for an early morning delivery route the next day. Could they have told me earlier? Absolutely. The pickup location had literally been on my route hours before, but somehow, nobody mentioned it until I was nearly done for the night. I already knew. This was him. So I picked the load up and drove the whole drive. I could feel that slow-burning anger building in my chest. The kind that makes your jaw tighten. The kind where your hands grip the steering wheel harder than normal. But I kept calm. At first. When I arrived back at the yard, the place was mostly empty. The warehouse workers had already gone home. Except him. The supervisor was standing there waiting, smiling. That smug little smile people get when they think they've won. I climbed out of the truck exhausted, dirty, hungry, and irritated. And before I could even say a word, he started laughing. Actually laughing. Bet your evening plans are ruined now. Like he'd accomplished something incredible. I remember staring at him for a second thinking, this grown man genuinely enjoys making other people unhappy. That was the moment something inside me shifted. Not explosive anger. Not yelling. Just clarity. I'm completely done. I walked past him without saying a word and headed straight into the general manager's office. The GM was still there finishing paperwork. I told him exactly what had happened. Again, I explained that the pickup could have been scheduled earlier, that the supervisor intentionally held it back until the end of my shift just to mess with me. And do you know what the general manager did? Nothing. Not even surprise. Not even concern. Just a shrug. A tired little shrug that basically said, "What do you want me to do about it?" That hurt more than the supervisor's behavior, because that's when you realize the bully survives because leadership allows it. I stood there for a second staring at him, then I calmly said, "Right. I'm just going back to my truck to get my kit." The manager, he thought I was cooling off. I walked back outside slowly. The evening air was cold. The depot lights buzzed overhead. Somewhere in the distance, forklifts beeped as the night crew worked. And suddenly, I felt completely calm. I opened the trailer curtains, unstrapped the load. Then I shouted over to the manager and the supervisor, "Come here a second." They walked over casually, still not understanding. I looked directly at the general manager and said, "You allow him to bully people and screw with their lives." Then I pointed at the load, "So you can live with the consequences." I climbed into the cab, started the engine, and reversed hard. The trailer jerked violently. Then I slammed on the brakes. The sound was unbelievable. Crash. Metal bins tipped instantly, and thousands of bolts exploded across the trailer floor like a tidal wave of steel, clattering, bouncing, rolling into every corner. The warehouse supervisor's face changed immediately. His mouth literally fell open. The manager just stared in horror as bolts rolled out toward the back doors. For one glorious second, nobody moved. Then chaos started. "What the hell are you doing?" the supervisor shouted. I stepped down from the cab calmly, calmer than I'd been all day. "You can sort the bolts out yourselves," I said. Then I looked directly at both, "And you can stick your job up your ass." Silence. Pure silence. I grabbed my bag, walked into the office, clocked out, and left. No dramatic movie moment. No big speech. Just me walking away while those two idiots stared at thousands of mixed bolts scattered across that trailer. And honestly, the image still makes me smile. Now here's the best part. I wasn't trapped there. Truck drivers were in demand everywhere. The second I got home, I called an agency. The next morning, I already had another driving job. No begging. No apology. No regret. Done. A few days later, one of the drivers from the old company called me laughing. Apparently, it took them over 2 hours to sort all the bolts back into the correct bins. 2 hours, picking through tiny metal pieces one by one. Exactly the kind of pointless, miserable work that supervisor loved forcing onto everybody else. Except this time, he had to do it himself. And that's the thing that made it satisfying. Nobody got hurt. No property was destroyed beyond making a huge mess. But for once, just once, the people causing the misery had to feel it too. That supervisor spent years making workers exhausted, frustrated, and powerless because he thought it was funny. Then suddenly, in a single moment, all that frustration landed right back in his lap in the form of thousands of scattered bolts. I imagine him kneeling there late at night, sorting them piece by piece while everyone else had gone home. And honestly, that felt like justice. Some revenge stories are huge and elaborate. This one was simple. But sometimes karma isn't about destroying someone's life. Sometimes it's just making them experience the same frustration they've been causing everybody else for years. If this story satisfied your inner revenge demon, hit that like button, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. What's the most satisfying workplace karma you've ever seen? And would you have done the same thing? Or kept your cool?